So Dr. Suzanne Little is a research fellow at the Insight Centre for Data Analytics, which is based in Dublin City. She was also involved in organising and hosting, as part of the Insight team, the Girls Hack Ireland event, which took place in DCU for girls aged between 15 and 17 years, to create a website around the theme of New Ireland. So, thank you.
It was interesting to be asked to come and speak here today. It's been fantastic, both as part of the last session and this session, to see the tremendous variety of people that are here, both as attendees and speakers. We have producers of data, we have consumers of data, we have transformers of data. So in many ways, I'm here wearing three different hats. And I'm also here to talk a little bit about our experiences in Girls Hack Ireland. Now, why is that important and relevant for you here? Well, I think it's something that, as we strive to keep this diversity and this variety, that it's worth considering the different mechanisms by which you as consumers, as producers, as transformers, can help to encourage the next generation of data analytics people, of engineers, of scientists, of mathematicians. So I'm kind of here today in three capacities. Mostly going to be speaking about our experience as part of Girls Hack Ireland. I'm also a member of the Insight Centre for Data Analytics at DCU, and I am myself a data analytics researcher. For example, I'm currently working on the Smart Stadium project in conjunction with Croke Park, the GAA, Intel and Arizona State University, and I'm involved in various types of media analytics work in other European projects. So just briefly, I think many of you would be aware of the Insight Centre for Data Analytics. They had a stand at lunch, so I won't take Niall's thunder. We have 350 plus researchers. I just emphasise that's researchers, that's not including the support staff, the commercialisation staff, and various other people that are involved in the centre. And that's across 8 institutions. So we have within the centre itself a tremendous breadth of interests and experience, and different projects that people work on, and that's really important as we strive to look at what data analytics can do, both in the research field and within enterprise and innovation applications. So as part of that, why Girls Hack Ireland? Well, one of the reasons I was nervous when I was asked to speak here is I'm not qualified to talk in detail about the economics and social policy of getting more girls involved in STEM technologies. In a sense, my only qualification is that I happen to be female and a software engineer. And my involvement in Girls Hack Ireland was a voluntary one to help mentor the mentors. So as part of the day, we had a number of people invited along to help out. So what exactly was the Girls Hack Ireland event then? Well, we had 100 girls. We targeted ages 15 to 17. Now, that was deliberate because that's the transition year when we have the potential to get them excited about coming and doing computer science, to get over the fear of maths and to learn a bit more about science and technology. There's actually a typo on the slide. We had 50 mentors plus support staff. Now, the mentors was my main involvement. I was recruiting mentors from different companies, getting people to come along and help out on the day. Now, the day was hosted at DCU. They had lunch. We had a number of demos. We had tech support. We had sponsors giving presentations. Microsoft was a main sponsor and gave a fantastic talk around the research that you can do with the Connect system, which was exceptionally well received. Google, Avaya, Symantec, Twitter, Sugru, Dakri, a number of those companies either came along and provided mentors or gave goodies for the goodie bags. The whole day ran for 8 hours, but of that, the girls probably only spent about 4 hours on a computer. And when you see some of the results that they produced in those 4 hours, going from pretty much not knowing anything to coming up with these websites, it's incredibly inspiring and impressive. So their mission was to remix or build a website on the theme of New Ireland. So I've just got a few photos and various things here they're going to show. So a couple of things I learned being involved in this. One was, in my experience, approaching the mentors. So I would talk to people that I personally knew. We contacted a few companies. There were female engineers in those companies that didn't feel qualified to come along and help out with this, that didn't feel confident about being part of such an event. So one unexpected outcome was in encouraging companies and people involved in different types of STEM and data analytics to come along and volunteer. Their confidence increased. And some of the feedback we had from the mentors was about how much they had learned, not just in technical skills, but in their own belief in being able to be enthusiastic about the work that they do. The other thing was the tremendous enthusiasm of the girls. The excitement and energy that 15 to 17-year-olds can generate in an enclosed space for 8 hours is awe-inspiring. I do not know how teachers who have to handle students in a classroom like that for 8 hours a day can manage to do that. I was completely exhausted by the end of the day. But you can see here from some of the photos, a lot of the time was spent in groups at laptops, working on building these websites, working together in a team. They learnt to use some tools. They were divided up into different designations, from people that had no previous experience, the real beginners, the intermediates that had some confidence, and the advanced. And they were taught about some tools that they could use to either remix, to hack different data together, or to build complete websites from scratch. And here are a few examples of what they did. So these are some of the different ones they put up. If you can read some of the content, you'll see that an underlying theme was a great sense of humour. A lot of the girls looked at, well, what are the common stereotypes that people outside of Ireland might have? How can we comment on those or address those? They were very topical. They loved to look. They were looking through Google, looking for photographs and images. Some of them had generated web pages about their favourite Irish musicians. One group decided to remix the CIA website from America and were tweeting all day about how they were hacking the CIA website, which caused a few nervous moments but seemed to go down quite well in the end. And they used that website to then look at, well, what do Americans think about Irish people and Irish culture? Now, you can hear from my accent that I'm not natively Irish myself. There were a few groups there. There were also people that had come to Ireland from other countries, and they were discussing how they could use technology to learn more about the country and to find out information that they might need. So the slight plug is what's happening next for Girls Hack Ireland. This wasn't just a one-off event. Insight is very keen to keep engaging and encouraging people, not just girls, not just 15 to 17-year-old, but really to target the next generation of students that are going to become the data analysts of the future. With that in mind, we're running a hardware hackathon as part of the Inspire Fest that's coming up in June. There's some links there if you're looking for more information. But why does this kind of matter to you? What's my take-home message for you today? Well, I've got kind of a few based on the different hats that I happen to be wearing. So from the perspective of Girls Hack Ireland, there's a couple of things. How can data help? Well, one is just from a pure research perspective. How can we make informed decisions about participation in STEM, about the reach of the education programs we're having, about the involvement and the diversity of people that are making decisions and planning the next types of science without data? So the simple fact of collecting this information, of having these discussions, of looking at the statistics is something that I think is very helpful. The illustration that was given by one of our keynote speakers at Girls Hack Ireland was around the development of the crash test dummy. Now, a female version of a crash test dummy was not developed for some 30 or 40 years after the male version. Now, there are clearly very distinct differences between a female crash test dummy and a male crash test dummy. So it's slightly disturbing to think that nobody on the design team was female and thought about the fact that you might like to have some different models involved in that. So this is really just symbolic of the fact that people that are going to be designing the innovations of the future, it's very helpful to have lots of different inputs into that, to question the assumptions that you're making. Now, if that means looking at gender balance, that's one thing and that's great. But part of the point of open data is to have these conversations, to bring in information from all parties and to make that available. The other reason that Girls Hack Ireland is interested in data is simply to have interesting and useful data sets for future hackathons. So I've run some small data analytics workshops internally within Insight, and one of the data sets we used was the US names, baby names data sets that has male and female birth names from 1880 through to 2010, and you can do a lot of kind of fun things with that in generating graphs. So we had one group look at, for example, the influence of the Harry Potter books on the popularity of certain names. So they looked and they found a spike in the popularity of the name Harry, another one in Hermione, and the fact that nobody in America was called Draco before the books became popular in the States. So that's an example of how we took a data set that was open, available, formatted so that we could use that in current data analytics programs, and interesting, something that people could actually do some interesting work with. So if you're looking at making data available, this is a potential testing point or a potential part where we may be able to get some positive publicity about the data sets that you're working with, and to inspire people to look at how to use your data to do interesting things. So wearing my Insight hat, Insight works in a massive, massive range of data applications. We have things in health, in sport, in news media, in analytics, in social recommender systems, in personal sensing and in health management. And all of those data is really at the core of what we do. So if you have data sets that you want to be explored, if you have problems that you want to talk about, there are people at Insight that would, I won't say bite your hand off to get your data, but we'd love to talk to you about the types of information that you're struggling with and how that data could be used. So from my personal perspective, I am both a consumer and a producer of data. So as a researcher, I'm publishing, I'm generating data sets. I have to be aware of things like the open data pilot within the European Union when I'm preparing Horizon 2020 proposals. I have to think about both how can I get data in the most efficient, ethical, legal, technological way, and how can I ensure that any data I'm producing adheres to the same thing. So I think as more and more people get into data analytics, this is information and experiences that we should be sharing with each other. Knowledge about how best to do this, experiences about things that have worked and not worked. So what are the things that I'm interested in? As a consumer of data, I want large volumes of data. Now, my personal interest is in video analytics and media analytics. For example, I've worked on European projects where we're capturing CCTV footage. We're looking at very generic information around crowd density or action. We're not even interested in identifying individuals, but we still have to have very serious conversations about data privacy and protection in that context. When I'm looking for data sets, I'm looking for a variety of data. So I need to either have something that comes from a large slice of time or a large geographical segment. A small sample data set is no longer enough to really innovate and to really produce interesting research. We also need quality data. So it needs to be in formats that we can use. And often for the types of machine learning and training that I'm doing, I need labels. So I need a bit of domain knowledge to help me interpret that data. So again, it becomes a partnership where the information and the data that you're providing can be transformed by the types of research that we're doing. And as I said, we're also a producer of data, and therefore we're very interested in looking at the formats, the standards, the preservation options, but also the ethics and the moral questions that are starting to become more and more important. So hopefully that's given you a few takeaway messages. I guess if I could have one request from you, it's contribute to the community. Keep an eye out for initiatives such as Girls Hack Ireland, if that's what you're interested in, or there are alternative ones, Coding Grace and Coda Dojo are simply two that I'm aware of, and look at perhaps how you, as a researcher, as a small business, or as a funding agency, can really engage with the people that are going to be coming up and learning about data analytics. And I'd be delighted to talk about that in more detail afterwards. Thank you.